Have you taken the neck pill yet? The thickness of our neck has a huge influence on our aesthetics and attractiveness. Just take a look at this picture of Channing Tatum. They changed absolutely nothing about him except for his neck, and he just looks like a completely different person. This literally just makes the difference between looking like a total Chad and looking like an awkward lollipop that is about to snap. Another example, Brad Pitt, where they made his neck smaller. Or this actor who has a thin neck by himself and they made his neck thicker and he just instantly looks less goofy. Now, quite a lot of people have commented on my videos that they think that I should train neck. Some have been nicer in their choice of words than others have been, but overall I have to agree. Yes, I would look a lot better if I'd had a thicker neck. Yes, my neck is something that is lacking a little bit and that I should work on, especially now that I'm taking the more serious effort to go to the gym and get a better physique. I was actually already doing some exercises at home on like the edge of the bed with some plates on the top of my head. And I decided to take it to the next level. So I bought one of these neck training contraptions so that I can go a bit heavier on some exercises. I can do a larger variety of exercises, etc. But before I talk about what exercises I do and what I would recommend to other people that also want to train neck, I first would like to mention something that I think is extremely important and I haven't really seen other people talk about that much yet. This is something you should know that has influence on the thickness of your neck that is just game-changing. Let me just show it to you guys. Watch my neck, okay? Posture. Our posture has an immense influence on how thick our neck looks. This is me in a random video where my posture isn't great. And this is me in another video, a TikTok video, where my posture is better. I'm sort of sitting up more straight and pushing my head a little more backward. This is literally the same me. I'm not joking. This is not some kind of a before and after neck progress. This is literally the same me. The only thing that is different is my posture. So to anyone that wants to get a thicker neck and start training neck, do not underestimate posture. If you have bad posture, your head starts to sort of stick forward, your neck will automatically look thinner. Work on your posture, become more straight, get your head more backward, fix your forward head posture, and your neck will automatically start to look a lot thicker. Now, I personally actually have what is called a scoliosis, which is like a deviation in the spine. So for me, posture is a little bit of a tricky thing. It's harder for me to fix my posture, but I try not to use it too much as an excuse. I try to get a thicker neck, and I definitely work on my posture as well. So then what I actually do to train my neck. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail because neck training is relatively new for me and I'm not really an expert, but this is what I do, and these are a few key points that I have come to understand that I think are extremely important to know when you start training neck. And number one is do not go too heavy. There are horror stories on the internet of people who have permanent nerve damage and stuff. You don't want that to happen. The neck is a very delicate part of the body. It is not meant to be trained heavy. You could make that argument about any muscle because, you know, you're not supposed to bench press over 100 kilos either, but the neck seems to be a more delicate muscle, and so it seems to be more prone to getting injuries and getting damaged, so don't go heavy. Now, I would actually guess that there's no real point in going heavy anyway, because I would assume, and this is an assumption, but I would assume that the neck muscles, being muscles that sort of have to constantly hold your head up, are probably muscles that are very high in the so-called type 1 muscle fibers, which are the more endurance-oriented muscle fibers. And so theoretically, your neck should probably respond to training in a higher rep range a bit better than training in a lower rep range. When I say higher rep range, I'm not talking about like 50 reps or something, but you should probably prefer doing the exercise in like the 12 to 20 rep range as opposed to like the 1 to 5 or 1 to 8 rep range. Somewhat higher. There is no point in going for a neck curl PR. is going to be dangerous and it's not actually going to give you better results. Go lighter is safer and it will give you a thicker neck. Then the next point, make sure that you have at least a forward motion, a neck curl to target the so-called sternocleidomastoid. A lot of people start doing primarily the extension motions from the back. And this really doesn't add that much to the thickness. It primarily fills out the muscles in the back. The thickness is really done by the sternocleidomastoid, and the sternocleidomastoid does the forward and the sideways motions. So make sure that you have at least one forward neck curl as one of your main lifts that you really try to progressive overload on. And of course the last point is progressive overload. As always with lifting, if you're not making progress, you're not making progress. It's like the most simple lifting theory there is. You have to make sure that you start to increase the weight or you start to increase the reps or whatever. You need to progress. Progression is what leads to actually thicker muscles. Now, I actually do 3 exercises. This is just what I do. I'm not saying this is optimal. I'm not saying I will do this forever. I will absolutely start to add on more exercises later. But for now, these exercises seem to work for me and I'm making progress on these exercises. So these are the exercises that I'm doing right now. I'm doing an extension, which I used to do on the bed, but now I use the harness to do it. I'm doing a neck curl. The harness isn't that practical for this one, so I'm still stuck at having the plate on the top of my head. And I do a rotation to finish it off. It's like an accessory movement. Now, a lot of people will actually say that there is no real point in doing the rotation or the sideways movements because these just target the sternocleidomastoid, which you target on the neck curl anyway. But for me, it feels nice. It just feels like an extra rotation movement that my routine was lacking because I only had the extension and the curl movement. And I just like the exercise. I just like the burn you get on just the body weight. So this is what I do right now. In the future, I will be doing more exercises. I will be making more clever use of my neck training contraption. Maybe I'll do an update video one day. I don't know yet. But for now, for anyone that wants to train their neck as well, what I know so far is posture. Be awfully aware of the influence that posture has. And if you have bad posture, absolutely work on your posture. That could make a bigger difference than actually adding size to your neck. Do not go too heavy. It's dangerous and it probably isn't actually going to give you more results because the neck is probably higher in type 1 muscle fiber. Anyway, add a forward motion, a neck curl that targets the sternocleidomastoid because that's the thing that really adds thickness to the neck. And we're talking about training muscles here, so progressive overload. Oh, and one more extremely important thing. You are not going to get a thick neck unless you press the like and the subscribe button.